Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased to give my final report as a Secretary General to the Standing Committee at the Annual Assembly. I can tell you that we are very proud of the work that has been done by this Assembly and by the role that we've had an opportunity to play. I particularly want to thank Ilkka Kanerva for arranging for us to be hosted in Finland in this historic hall on the 40th anniversary of the Helsinki Final Act. Believe me, it was not easy for him to persuade his government to be the first country, his parliament, to be the first parliament to host this annual session for the second time at a time when everybody has financial problems. So Ilkka, thank you for what you've done. This is a historic moment, and we know how much effort you put into making it happen here in this very special place. I have a report which I won't read. It's been translated, I think, into 2 or 3 languages, and it's probably out on the table so everybody can see it. But during the past year, since we last met in Baku, there are many eventful things that have happened. The newest state in the OSCE, Mongolia, the Mongolian Parliament will host us in September for another historic event, the first session of the Parliamentary Assembly to take place in Mongolia. During the past year, the President has been exceptionally active, spreading the message of this Assembly and the things that we have advocated and the work that we have done. We continue to be, as Roberto Battelli has told you, to be in excellent financial condition, particularly due to the diligence of Gustavo Pierres and Kurt Larrass. And we're grateful for 6 years of service by Roberto Battelli, who has been a very strong and advocate of the Parliamentary Assembly's budget and of the way we do things so transparently. We have a Deputy Secretary General for Finance. We have an administrative director. We have a professional outside consultant who has run and managed budgets for small businesses. And we have an outside special auditor, a professional auditor, who's chosen by the treasurer and me, and someone who is by law required to report accurately on what she has seen and done. And she meets with the treasurer once or twice a year in Copenhagen without any of us present to go through the book. So we're pretty proud of that record. For 22 years now, we have been within budget and had perfect audits. I don't think there's any other international organization that has a record as good as that. So I'm very, very proud of that. Our activities have been, of course, as usual, very active. We've done election observations in Bosnia-Herzegovina, Ukraine, the United States, Moldova, Tajikistan, the United Kingdom, and Turkey. A very full menu with participation of many, many parliamentarians. I mean, we are always the Parliamentary Assembly that brings the most parliamentarians to the field. Because we have 56 parliaments, and because our parliamentarians have taken such a leading role in this activity, and because of their professional expertise and experience and their qualifications to do this, they have made the OSCE, with the Parliamentary Assembly, the leading organization in the world for election observation. So thank you for all the parliamentarians who have taken the time to go for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it took to monitor elections. During our meetings bring together nearly 300 parliamentarians from across the OSCE region on many important issues. During the years that I've had the privilege and the pleasure and the responsibility to serve you, we've organized 23 annual sessions, 14 winter meetings, 8 spring conferences. We've supported the work of 14 presidents and more than 50 special representatives. And more importantly, we have organized 142 election observation missions, including more than 5,000 observers from the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, and we've done all these things within the annual budget. I'd also like to inform you about the Helsinki Plus 40 project. First, I want to pay tribute to Ranko Krivokapic, who, as president, launched this initiative so that we could go forward with this very important and complicated project. And he appointed João Soares and Ilka Canerva and Francois Xavier de Denet and me to run it and set it up and try to do it. So we partnered with think tanks, which was sort of an unusual thing. We did it with think tanks in Washington and Moscow and Stockholm and Copenhagen, in Serbia and here in Finland, to try to have very comprehensive and creative and frank discussions about the OSCE and its history and its accomplishments and where it is today and where it needs to go in the future. So we finished the final Helsinki Plus 40 presentation this morning, and it was another very, I think, useful and informative and successful seminar. So we hope that these discussions, which have been candid and enlightening and creative, and they've given visibility and credibility to the Parliamentary Assembly and to the OSCE across the OSCE area, and we're very proud of it. We opened our offices in Copenhagen more than 20 years ago. As I told someone the other day, I arrived there with 2 suitcases, no office, no staff, no place to live, and a budget written on the back of an envelope. So we have come a long way from then to now, where we now have very well-established professional offices in Copenhagen and in Vienna. And the Danish Parliament has been extraordinarily generous. They have provided for us the best offices in the OSCE very generously, and not only just the offices, but also the equipment, and they've supported us and backed us up on everything we've done. So their contribution really makes them the largest single contributors financially to our annual session. We're very grateful, Peter Juel-Jensen, for that, and I hope you'll convey that back to your colleagues. And in Vienna, we had to literally fight our way in the door to have someone sitting in the Permanent Council. Ambassador Notella, who is an extremely well-qualified and accomplished international civil servant, at first was not allowed to go into the room. Then he wasn't allowed to speak. Then he wasn't allowed to even be included in the ambassadorial retreats. All that has been overcome. He now sits there at the table at every Permanent Council. He has the right to speak, and he does so quite often. Parenthetically, on this issue about whether or not the sanctions should have been applied to this meeting, Ambassador Notella and I are both lawyers, and we both looked at this EU decision, and the exemption applied to the OSCE. But someone in the legal advisor's office decided to tell the Finns that that didn't include the Parliamentary Assembly. This goes back to the argument that we've had for the past 15 years about whether or not this organization, which is the oldest OSCE institution, is really part of the OSCE. So if that legal advisor, who's an employee of the Secretary General, had just said, yes, of course, the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly is part of the OSCE, this whole argument might have gone away. But they said just the opposite. Ambassador Notella made several interventions in the Permanent Council. He made the point, he gave them the legal opinion, but it was unfortunately ignored. But we have remained small and efficient in our secretariat in both Vienna and in Copenhagen. I think we're the smallest of all of the secretariats of any of the international Parliamentary Assembly. My Deputy Secretary Generals, Gustavo Pierres and Simon Zakayev, have done a fantastic job. There's a great staff there. They're well trained, they're professional, and they've been serving longer than any of the civil servants in the OSCE, because we don't have the 10-year limit that they have in the OSCE, and they speak 10 languages, and we have certainly the facility for all 6 languages, official languages of the OSCE. We also have a very successful research fellowship program. These are young men and women we've had over 230 young men and women who have served in our assembly as interns and then gone on to work in their governments, in their parliaments, in field missions. Roberto Montella was one of our early research assistants and went on to spend 10 years in the Balkans working for the OSCE before he came back to join us as a presidential advisor. And this research fellowship program not only gives us capability in 6 languages, it gives us high quality research, because the people who come there are usually in their mid to early 20s, and they're getting their master's degrees or their doctorates in international relations. So they provide us with the highest quality research that I think is done anywhere in the OSCE. So we're very, very proud of that. We're also very proud of the News from Copenhagen, which we send out, which is a 1-page, once a week, about what we're doing. It's really designed to show you that the Secretariat is working and which members of the Secretariat are doing what for which committee or which special representative or which election observation mission, so that you know who they are and what they're doing. But it has been a very successful publication. It's read not only by you and by your delegations, I hope, but also by foreign ministries and also by the media. And we also get a lot more communication from parliamentarians who send us information about that we should put in the news from Copenhagen. So it's been 22 years of, I think, great success, great pleasure, and in many times great challenges. But I want to thank all of you for your support and for all the things you've done for me during the past 22 years. And I look forward to Roberto Montella being a very strong and successful successor, and I hope that the next item will be his election, and I urge you all to give him your full support. Thank you.